0 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. The family meeting was called for Sunday afternoon, which should have been my first warning. Dad only convened family meetings when he'd already made a decision and wanted to present it as a democratic process. I sat on Mom's floral couch, coffee in hand, watching my brother Eric pace near the fireplace with that self-satisfied expression he wore when things were going his way. "Thank you all for coming," Dad began, standing like he was addressing a board meeting. "We need to discuss the downtown apartment situation." 0 hours 0 minutes and 30 seconds. The downtown apartment, the two-bedroom unit at 1247 Westbrook that had been in our family since Grandpa purchased the building in 1987. I'd been living there for 4 years, paying utilities and a small monthly fee to the family trust that technically owned it. Eric and Shannon are expecting their first child. Dad continued. They need more space than their current one-bedroom can provide. Meanwhile, Cassie, you have 2 bedrooms all to yourself. I set down my coffee. I use the second bedroom as a home office. I work remotely 3 days a week. 0 hours 1 minute and 4 seconds. You can work from a coffee shop, Mom interjected. Young people do that all the time. Eric has a family starting, Dad pressed on. The apartment makes more sense for them. We've decided you'll move out by the end of the month. That gives you 4 weeks to find something else. You've decided. I repeated. The family has decided, Dad corrected. What's best for everyone? Eric finally spoke up. Come on, Cass, don't make this difficult. You're single, no kids, good job. You can rent anywhere. Shannon and I need the space for the nursery. 0 hours 1 minute and 39 seconds, and we can't afford market rate for a 2-bedroom. And I can. You make more than we do, Shannon said from her spot next to Eric. Eric told me about your salary. You're doing fine. The fact that Eric had discussed my salary, which he'd only guessed at, with his wife made my jaw clench. My finances aren't up for family discussion. When it affects family resources, they are, Dad said firmly. The apartment belongs to the family trust. Your grandfather intended it to serve the family's needs. Right now, Eric and Shannon needed 0 hours to minutes and 12 seconds most. Did anyone check what Grandpa actually wrote in the trust documents? Mom waved her hand dismissively. Your father manages the trust. He knows what's appropriate. I'd still like to see the actual documents. Cassie, don't be difficult. Dad's voice had that warning edge. This is already decided. Eric and Shannon will move in November 1st. You need to make arrangements. I stood up. I'd like to formally request copies of the trust documents, the building deed, and any paperwork establishing the family's authority to 0 hours to minutes and 46 seconds terminate my residency. Dad's face reddened. You don't need paperwork. I'm telling you as your father and as the trust manager. Then, as the current resident, I'm requesting formal documentation of this eviction. It's not an eviction. Mom's voice pitched higher. It's family helping family. Then there should be documentation of the terms. I left the meeting with my family's irritation following me out the door. By the time I got home to the apartment they wanted to take from me, I had 17 text messages in the family group 0 hours 3 minutes and 19 seconds chat. Ranging from Eric calling me selfish to Mom saying I was breaking her heart. I ignored them all and opened my filing cabinet. 4 years ago, when Grandpa had gotten sick, he called me to the hospital. Not the whole family, just me. He'd been lucid despite the pain medication and very specific about what he wanted to tell me. The apartment building, he'd said, gripping my hand. I'm changing the trust structure. Your father thinks he controls everything, but he doesn't read the details. Never has. Grandpa, you should rest. Listen, the 0 hours 3 minutes and 52 seconds building goes to you. Direct transfer effective on my death. I've already filed the paperwork. Your father will get the other properties, but 1247 Westbrook is yours. He'll think it's still in the family trust because he won't read the amended documents. But it's not. It's yours. Why me? Because you're the only one who asked me what I actually wanted instead of telling me what you thought I should do. Because you visited every week, not just when you needed something. Because I trust you to take care of it properly. 0 hours 4 minutes and 23 seconds he died 2 weeks later. I'd received the amended trust documents and the deed transfer from his attorney a month after that. The building, all 6 units including the one I lived in, was mine. Sole ownership, no family trust involved. I'd never told my family because Grandpa had been right. Dad had never read the amended documents. He'd filed away the attorney's letters assuming they were standard estate paperwork. For 4 years, he'd believed he controlled the building while I quietly managed it, maintained it, and collected 0 hours 4 minutes and 54 seconds rent from the other 5 units. The rental income covered the building's expenses and then some. I'd used the surplus to update the units, improve the building systems, and build a healthy maintenance reserve. The building that Grandpa had bought for $340,000 in 1987 was now worth $2.1 million. And my family wanted to evict me from my own property. Monday morning, I called my attorney, Patricia Chen. I'd hired her 3 years ago when I started taking my property ownership seriously. Updating leases, ensuring proper insurance, 0 hours 5 minutes and 28 seconds, making everything legally bulletproof. Patricia, I need your advice. My family is trying to evict me from my own building. She listened to the story, then laughed. A sharp, professional sound. Do they know you own it? They think it's in a family trust managed by my father. And your father has what documentation his authority? None that's valid. Grandpa transferred the building to me directly 4 years ago. It's been solely in my name since then. Then this is simple. They have no authority to evict you. They don't own the property. They 0 hours 6 minutes and 1 second can't terminate your residency. And if they try to force you out, they're in violation of landlord-tenant law. Except they're not even landlords. They're planning to move in November 1st. They're already packing my things. They're packing your things. Patricia's voice sharpened. In your apartment? Without permission. I haven't been home to see, but my brother texted that he's helping me get started on packing. That's illegal entry and possibly theft. Cassie, I need you to be very clear about what you want here. Do you want to 0 hours 6 minutes and 32 seconds educate your family? Or do you want to establish firm legal boundaries? I thought about Eric discussing my salary with Shannon, about Dad making unilateral decisions and calling them family consensus, about Mom dismissing my work needs, about 4 years of managing this building invisibly while they all assumed Dad was in charge. Firm legal boundaries, I said. Then here's what we're going to do. Wednesday afternoon, my phone started ringing. Dad, then Eric, then Mom. I let them go to voicemail. The messages were variations 0 hours 7 minutes and 5 seconds on a theme. What is this legal letter? Why are lawyers involved? How could you do this to family? The letter Patricia had sent was straightforward. Notice that Cassie Morrison was the sole legal owner of the property at 1247 Westbrook, that no other party had authority to make occupancy decisions, and that any attempt to remove her belongings or change her locks would be treated as illegal eviction and theft, with appropriate legal action to follow. She'd also sent a cease and desist to Eric specifically regarding his 0 hours 7 minutes and 36 seconds unauthorized entry into my apartment. Building security had confirmed that he'd used Mom's old emergency key to enter 3 times over the past week. Thursday morning, the family meeting was reconvened, this time in Dad's home office, with the mood considerably less confident. Explain this, Dad said, sliding Patricia's letter across his desk. The building is mine. Grandpa transferred it to me before he died. I've owned it for 4 years. That's impossible. The trust was amended. You received copies of the amended documents in 2020, 0 hours 8 minutes and 12 seconds. You didn't read them. Dad's face went through several colors. Your grandfather wouldn't cut me out like that. He didn't cut you out. You received the other 3 properties, the commercial building downtown, the duplex on Riverside, and the strip mall in Oakmont. I received 1247 Westbrook. Check your trust documents. I watched him pull out a file folder, then another, flipping through papers with increasing agitation. Mom stood behind him, reading over his shoulder. The amendment says Mom's voice trailed off. 0 hours 8 minutes and 46 seconds. The residential building at 1247 Westbrook Avenue is transferred to Cassandra Morrison. Effective immediately upon the death of Harold Morrison. Why wouldn't you tell us? Eric demanded. Grandpa asked me not to. He said Dad wouldn't read the paperwork anyway, and he was right. For 4 years, you've all assumed the building was in a family trust while I've been managing it, maintaining it, paying all the expenses, and collecting rent. Rent? Dad looked up sharply. The other 5 units are rented. Have been the entire 0 hours 9 minutes and 17 seconds time. That's how I pay for building maintenance, property taxes, insurance, and improvements. You've been collecting money from family property. From my property, I corrected. My building, my rental income, my responsibility. Shannon spoke up. But we need that apartment. The baby. There are other 2-bedroom apartments available in the city. I can provide you with a list of comparable properties if you'd like. We can't afford market rate. That's not my problem. Eric slammed his hand on the desk. This is Grandpa wouldn't 0 hours 9 minutes and 53 seconds have wanted this. Grandpa specifically wanted this. He wanted me to have this building. He put it in writing, filed it legally, and made sure I understood the responsibility. What he didn't want was for it to be treated as a family resource to be redistributed.